Good morning, everyone. Katie Crysdale here from Lakeview Aquatic Consultants with your weekly Aquatic Industry Insider. In this video, we're going to talk about the top 5 news articles that crossed my desk during the week of June 26th to July 3rd. Now, the articles that I've picked are articles that are interesting to me, that I think are interesting to the industry, as well as impactful in terms of what they mean for precedent or for changes that we might see coming down the pipe in our industry. So let's get started. So the top article for this week, by and large, they're head and shoulders above everything else, is the first reported fatality associated with a Swimply pool rental in the United States. So to step back for a second, if you're not aware, Swimply is an app that you can register and then rent pools by the hour in your community. The problem, in my opinion, with this service is it's very much like the early days of Uber or Airbnb, where this is a new product to the market in an unregulated way, and there is substantial risk to the consumer who rents out these pools that they are not maintained in a safe and sanitary manner. So the same way with Uber, where you flag a ride with somebody who is driving their personal vehicle and who hasn't necessarily met any safety standards or driving standards or licensing standards in the place where you are taking the Uber, or the same way that you rent an Airbnb and the home that you are renting, it could be beautiful or it could be not well maintained, there could be a safety hazard. All of that we've seen shifting in our world in the last 10 to 15 years, that these businesses have grappled with incidents where drivers committed crimes, hosts committed crimes against people who stayed in their rentals, or people who stayed in the rentals have vandalized the homes in which they stayed in. There is a long history that has brought us to 2022, where these businesses, these corporations have had to standardize their practices for the industry in order to be safer. So all of that to say, we are at the very beginning stages of Swimply, which really surged during the 2020, the start of the pandemic, when people were locked in their homes, swimming pools were closed, but pools that were open were the backyard pools of people's residences. And so the Swimply app, the argument that is made is that it allows you to rent a pool conveniently in your community, person to person, and it's relatively inexpensive. So perhaps $40, $50, $60 per hour, whereas to rent a municipal or community pool, one, you might not be able to do it at all. 2, it would be prohibitively expensive, $200, $300, because it is a very large facility. So for the last 2 years, we have been talking about Swimply at Lakeview Aquatic Consultants. We've been posting articles on our Facebook page. We've been talking about it in our monthly newsletter. We've been following different states in the US who have tried to regulate, who have attempted to regulate Swimply in their markets, in their jurisdictions, whether it's through usage in bylaws, whether it's through permitting, and nothing has really taken hold yet. And unfortunately, as somebody with a lifeguard and a certified pool operator background, I've been saying for a long time that unfortunately something significant is going to have to happen for Swimply potentially to take notice and be more aware of the potential risks and how to mitigate those, whether those risks are mitigated by the hosts, whether those risks are mitigated by the guests, whether those risks are mitigated by the company. I don't have that solution, but it is something that will need to be looked at. And now we have the first fatality associated with a Swimply rental. So this is an article posted on ABC7NewYork.com. Nobody saw new questions after a girl drowns in a rented pool in New Jersey. This article was posted on June 28th, 2022, but you can find many articles about this particular incident. It had a substantial presence in the Google News alerts that I get every day. For that particular week, I was scrolling past dozens of articles on this one particular incident, so it will not be difficult for you to find if you Google it. It occurred in Teaneck, New Jersey. And I'll read you the first couple lines. This background, Authorities are continuing to investigate the suspected drowning of a 7-year-old girl at a rented backyard pool in New Jersey over the weekend. Police say the little girl was found at the bottom of the pool around 6 p.m. on Sunday at a home on Westervelt Place in Teaneck. CPR was initiated and the girl was transported to hospital. She was pronounced dead just before 7:30 p.m. So really important to understand that drowning is submersion in water. She was underwater and her brain was deprived of oxygen. She was transported to hospital, but she did not make it. So who is responsible? We don't have a lot of details, but it is important to understand that the family who rented this pool, did they all know how to swim? Did the children know how to swim? The homeowners who rented the pool to them, what responsibility do they have? One of the conversations that we've had in our newsletter is regarding insurance, and a lot of homeowners do not maintain enough insurance that would account for a substantial claim like this, a death, an injury. Your homeowner policy might be for $1 or $2 million, and you think that's a lot in relation to the overall value of your house. And it might be, especially if your house is worth $300,000, $400,000. But when you think about the liability of inviting people to your property and making revenue as an income to rent out your pool, and then somebody dies or they're put into a permanent vegetative state, which impacts their quality of life, that could be a $6, $7, $8 million judgment. And so unfortunately, a really important situation to watch and see what happens, if there will be any sort of legal action, if there will be a settlement, what that looks like in terms of opening up the floodgates, so to speak, for Swimply and the disadvantages of this type of rental agency when it comes to swimming pools. The second article I want to mention is actually 2 different articles with things that I have never seen before and really, really wonderful initiatives from 2 communities who want to encourage participation in their pools during the summer, especially among populations or demographics who may not have access. The first article is from WNEP.com. Kids enjoy free lunch program at the Shamokin pool. While school may be out for the summer, a program in Shamokin continues to feed hungry students at the city's pool. This is such a heartwarming story, and in all of the things that I've read over the years, I'm sure someone else is doing this, but it had not been publicly recognized in a way that I was informed about it. So amazing to see a free lunch program transitioning from school to the outdoor pool as a community hub in this Pennsylvania town to continue access to kids who may not experience food security and who may need access to meals. So I think it's just an amazing, amazing program. The pool receives 100 meals per day, and I can't think of a better way to serve the community than keeping a lunch program running throughout the summer at the pool. In the same vein, I saw an incredible article that was regarding busing kids to pools. So this article is from fox34.com. Citibus offering free bus rides to Maxey Swimming Pool. This is located in Lubbock, Texas. The city of Lubbock and Citibus are offering free bus rides to the Maxey Swimming Pool in light of the recent closure of the Montelongo pool. The pool was closed for repairs and will not open up back this summer. So for summer 2022, we've seen a lot of pools close down due to staff shortages or operational repairs following budget cuts during the pandemic, or for whatever reason, organizations have had to pick and choose which pools can remain open and which pools have to be closed for this summer. One of the conversations surrounding that topic that I think is really important to have is, what does that access look like for different populations? Are organizations looking at the different areas of their community, the different areas of the city, and trying to balance things like which pools are the cheapest to operate relative to the needs of a specific community, and not creating a pool desert or an area of the community where there are no pools open to residents, And that is not something that I have seen properly addressed this summer because we have been short on time. We've all been short on resources. A lot of administrators, I'm completely sympathetic to their plight. They had to pull the trigger and just decide which pools would be open, which pools would be closed at the last minute. But I do think it's really amazing to see that in Lubbock, they have actually taken steps to address deficiencies in a particular area where one community may no longer be served this summer with that pool being closed, and to have these free bus rides available. It says the free rides will be available Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and the bus runs every 30 minutes from 12:45 p.m. to 6:05 p.m. So not a perfect solution. It might not reach everybody in that community, but taking steps to actually get people to other pools when their local pool may be closed, which is such an amazing initiative. Next story I want to talk about is another significant one in terms of the precedent I think it sets in terms of the a problem we've been seeing in the industry. So this is a product that recently came onto the market, I would say in the last 4 to 5 years that I have been working in and around pools. And this is now an actual statement from the US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, regarding baby neck rings. This is something that you'll often see on Instagram as a kind of a moment that the baby is relaxing in the pool. And it's always been very concerning for those of us with a water safety background for a couple of different reasons. First, we never teach anybody of any age to float from their neck in a vertical position. That is not a water safe position. That is not an anatomically correct position. That is not a buoyant position. And then the other question has often been, and I'm not a pediatrician, but how does a neck float impact a child's development in terms of that weight from their head? And this has been something we've seen increasingly sold as a product from regular retailers like Walmart to swimsuit retailers. And I personally have seen them brought into pools where I was lifeguarding or I was teaching. And it's not as rampant as mermaid tails were a few years ago, but it is certainly something that is concerning to see. And often as lifeguards, when we engaged with parents about this product, there was not an authority or a baseline to which we could refer to as a reason not to use them. And speaking from personal experience, when I was a younger lifeguard, you can often be at odds with a parent or a grandparent or a guardian who doesn't believe that you as a 16 or 20-year-old lifeguard have any expertise to share when it comes to child minding. So this is a really significant decision by the FDA. This was issued on June 28th. The title is "Do Not Use Baby Neck Floats Due to the Risk of Death or Injury." This is a safety communication. Reading from the top, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is warning parents, caregivers, and healthcare providers not to use neck floats with babies for water therapy interventions, especially with babies who have developmental delays or special needs. The use of these products can lead to death or serious injury. Pretty self-explanatory, but really a win for our aquatic industry to have this decision out there as a resource that we can refer back to when speaking to parents. The penultimate article we're going to look at is regarding a pool closure in British Columbia. This is an article on cbc.ca. The heading is "Maple Ridge Pool Closed Indefinitely After Discovery of Metal Wires in Water." The city says the pool will remain closed until the source of the wires is identified. This article was posted on June 29th, 2022. All of these articles were posted on the Lakeview Aquatic Consultants Facebook page from June 26th to July 2nd. They're always searchable if you use the search function at the top of the Facebook page. And we will also link to it down below. So the Maple Ridge Leisure Center's aquatic facility is closed indefinitely after tiny metal wires were discovered in the water. The reason I want to bring this article up is I actually want to give a big kudos to management at this facility for taking the proactive decision to close the pool. There is a lot of pressure that you get as an aquatic manager at any type of facility whether it's nonprofit municipal, whether it's for-profit water park, to not close your facility. I've been in that situation. Many of you have been in that situation where management says things like, really? Is that necessary? And we have talked about this before, specifically with regards to glass in the pool. I will link to a video interview we did 2 summers ago regarding a community that did not drain their pool of glass because it would have curtailed 5 or 6 days of their short outdoor pool season. And we have to think about our risk management. We have to think about the liability. If we don't close the pool, we don't find the source of something that is concerning, whether it is glass or stray wires, what potential risk does that place on our customers, our bathers using the facility? What liability does that transfer to us in management for not making the correct decision that potentially put people's lives at risk? And then for our organization, our sponsoring organization, if there were to be, heaven forbid, a fatality, a significant injury, what does that look like? So the cause of these wires in the pool is unknown, but anytime we're thinking about electricity and water, we do need to take that situation very seriously and be aware of the potential risks to our customers. And so I wanted to share this story in celebration of a manager or an organization who really prioritized public safety and said, doesn't matter where this came from, we don't know why or how it was caused, let's close the pool and get to the bottom of that. And not enough people are doing that, let's be honest. The last article I'm going to briefly mention is more from a pool construction and operations perspective. During the pandemic, the pandemic may still be ongoing where you're located in terms of challenges with supply chains and staffing and shortages. One of the big things that we saw in the residential pool industry is that there is currently a significant wait list to build backyard pools to the tune of 12 or 18 or 24 months to get on a list to get a pool built in your backyard. And so this article is interesting in terms of what it could mean for the future of swimming pools, residential swimming pools, because most of them are still built by hand. There are fiberglass pools that are sprayed. There are vinyl pools that are fitted into a frame, but many pools are still built by hand with concrete, shotcrete, with tile. They have to be sculpted and the plumbing connections have to be laid in advance. And so if there is the potential for shortcuts to be made safely, that is going to innovate the industry and allow it to scale in ways that we haven't seen to date. So this is an article from Pool Magazine that was posted on June 29th, 2022. 3D printed pools ready to hit the market. San Juan Pools is ready to usher in the era of 3D printed pools. The fiberglass pool manufacturer was on Fox and Friends yesterday demonstrating the first ever 3D printed fiberglass swimming pool. Not a lot of technical information contained in this article to differentiate the technology, but fiberglass pool is typically sprayed. How this is going to be printed is unclear to me, but it is something interesting to watch, whether it is a new product on the market or whether it is a marketing reconfiguration of an already existing product, but with a very creative marketing team for this particular business. So those are the articles this week that grabbed my attention. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Aquatic Industry Insider for the week of June 26th to July 2nd. If you did, subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified when new videos are posted. Like this video, it helps us to be able to do more of these videos and get them in front of the people who matter. Thanks so much for following along and keep up with us on social media, Lakeview Aquatic Consultants on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you're already here, and wherever else you like to find us.